Subtracting fractions. So let's say we have the question 3 over 4 minus 1 over 2. So 3/4 minus a half. So there are two common approaches to subtracting fractions, and this method is practically the same as when you add fractions. So the first is the common denominator method. In this method, what we aim to do is make the denominators the same. So here we can see that the 2 can be multiplied by 2 so that we have a 4 in the denominator. But if we do it to the bottom of the fraction, the denominator, we must do it to the numerator, the top number. So let's times that by 2 as well. So that gives us 3 over 4 minus 2 over 4. Now the denominator is the same, so we can simply subtract the two numbers from the top. So 3 take away 2, and the denominator stays unchanged, so it's just 4. We simplify and we get 1 over 4. So now let's look at the next method. So here what we do is cross, cross and bottom. So what this means is we take top number on the left and the bottom number on the right. We multiply those two together. So we get 3 times 2. The minus sign that we have in the middle, we keep in the middle here. We then do the next cross, which is 4 times 1. And then we do the bottom, which appears here, 4 times 2. We then simplify. So 3 times 2 is 6, minus 4 times 1 is 4, and 4 times 2 is 8. We simplify further, so we get 2 over 8, and then we divide top and bottom by a common number. So here we can do divide by 2 and divide by 2, and that gives us 1 over 4. Now remember, this is the same answer we got in our previous method. Now a point to remember here, if I had a positive sign here, so that was a plus, then essentially all I do is just change all the minuses to a plus. And my answer would be 5 over 4. So 3 plus 2 is 5. Now, in this approach, also if this symbol in the middle was a plus instead of a minus, we'd simply change everything to a plus. So that was a plus, this is a plus. This would now be, instead of 2, it would be 10. So we would have 5 over 4, which is the same answer as the one above. So that's just an aside that the methods are the same for subtracting and adding fractions. Let's look at another example. Let's say we have the question 5 over 6 minus 3 over 4. So using our common denominator method, we need to make the number 6 and the 4 at the bottom to be the same. So now 6 and 4 are not multiples of each other, so we need to multiply the 6 by a different number and the 4 by a different number to make a common number at the bottom. So for example, if I multiplied the 6 by 2, I would get 12, and if I multiplied the 4 by 3, I would also get 12. Now if I do something to the bottom, I must do it to the top. So this one I have to multiply by 2 because the 6 was multiplied by 2. And I have to multiply the 3 by 3 because the 4 was multiplied by 3. So let's simplify. So this becomes 10 over 12 minus 9 over 12. As the number at the bottom is the same, we can simply do 10 minus 9 over 12. And 10 minus 9 is 1, and it's over 12. So this simplifies to 1/12. Now let's do the same question, but with the common denominator. So here we're going to do cross, cross, bottom. So the first cross is the 5 and 4. So we can write 5 times 4. The minus symbol stays in the middle. And we do the next cross. So we get 6 times 3. And then we do the bottom, which is 6 times 4. We then simplify. So we get 20 minus 18 over 24. Simplifying this further, it gives us 20 minus 18 is 2 over 24. And then we need to simplify this fraction. So divide 2, and that gives us our final answer of 1/12, which is the same as what we got previously. Let's look at another example. 1/2 minus 7/8. So here, to make a common denominator, we can multiply the 2 by 4. That gives us 8. We only need to multiply the 2 and don't need to touch the 8 because 8 is divisible by 2. So here we multiply by 4, so we must multiply the top by 4 as well. So this simplifies to 4/8 minus 7/8. So now that the numbers at the bottom, the denominator is the same, we can say 4 minus 7 is over 8. 4 minus 7 is minus 3. Here it may be worth revising negative numbers if that's a weakness. And the 8 stays as is. So the answer is minus 3/8. Now let's do the same question, but this time with the cross bottom method. So the question was 1/2 minus 7/8. So we're going to do our first cross, which is 1 times 8. We then do the next cross, which is 2 times 7. And then the bottom, which is 2 times 8. We then simplify. So that's 8 minus 14 over 16. 8 minus 14 is minus 6 over 16. We then simplify by dividing top number by 2 and the bottom number by 2. And that gives us minus 3/8, which is the same answer we got before. Let's look at another example. 10/11 minus 1/2. Now 2 and 11 are not multiples of each other, so we need to multiply both fractions by a common number. So here we can do 2 times 11, and on this one we can do times 2. Now whatever we do to the bottom, we must do to the top. So we multiply that one by 2 and the one by 11. We then simplify. So this becomes 20/22 minus 11/22. Because the numbers now at the bottom are the same, we can do 20 minus 11/22. This simplifies to 9/22. Now here, there is no common factor that divides top and bottom, so that is your simplified answer. Now let's do the same question, but with the other method. 10/11 minus 1/2. So we know we're going to put a minus in the middle, and it's going to be a divisor here, so we'll place those in first. So we do the first cross, so that's 10 times 2. We do the next cross, which is 11 times 1, and we do the bottom, which is 11 times 2. This simplifies to 20 minus 11 all over 22, and that simplifies to 20 minus 11 is 9/22, which is the same answer we got before. Let's look at another example. So let's say we have a question where it says 10 minus 11/12. Now here we do it in a similar approach. However, we now have the difference that the first number is not written as a fraction, but we can make it look like a fraction. We can put this over 1. So any whole number can be written as over 1. It does not change the answer. Now we apply the same approach. Now 1 can be multiplied by 12 so that the denominator equals the same as the other denominator, 12. But if we do it to the bottom, we must do it to the top. So now we simplify. So 12 times 10 is 120 over 12 minus 11/12. Now that the numbers on the bottom are the same, we can just write this as 120 minus 11 all over 12, which is 109/12. Now let's do the same question, but using the other method. So 10 minus 11/12. So again, we change the 10 to look like a fraction. So it's 10/1. And then we do cross bottom. So the first cross over here is 10 times 12. And we do the next cross, which is 1 times 11. Then we do the bottom, which is 1 times 12. Now we simplify. So we get 120 minus 11 all over 12, which is 109 all over 12. This is the same answer we got previously. Let's look at another example. Let's say we have the question 2 minus 5/8. Now again, we need to make the 2 look like a fraction, so we put it over 1. And then we need to make the denominator equal to 8, as the first method we're talking about is common denominator method. So we do times 8, and if we do it to the bottom, we must do it to the top, and then we simplify. So this is 16 all over 8 minus 5 over 8. This can be written as 16 minus 5, as the bottom numbers are the same, so that just replaces that with 1. 8 at the bottom, and 16 minus 5 is 11 over 8. This is in the most simplified format, so we don't need to simplify further. That's our final answer. Let's do the same question, but this time with cross bottom. 2 over 1 minus 5 over 8. We start with the first cross, which is 2 times 8. Then the next cross, which is 1 times 5. Then start with the bottom, which is 1 times 8. And we then simplify. 16 minus 5 over 8, which is 11 over 8, which is the same answer we got previously.
You can download the application on Google Play or App Store, and you can visit our website mathslegends.co.uk.